Hey everybody, this is Hillary from CFC Kids and Cornerstone, and I just wanted to introduce a mom in our church that is doing amazing things for our kids during this time of quarantine. So we all know Kim Woods. She is a member of our church, and we love her, and she has gotten very creative and is using her gift during this time of quarantine. And I am just so impressed by her work. And I just wanted to introduce you guys to her. She has started Facebook Live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12:30 called The Learning Garden. So Kim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hello,
Good,
everybody.
good. So tell us, where did the Learning Garden come from?
The Learning Garden. Well, I have an in-home daycare, and it is called the Learning Garden, and that's actually where it started. I started daycare when my daughter was born, which she will be 10 in June. So just about 10 years that I've been doing daycare. So that's where it all started.
Wow. So what gave you the idea to start doing these Facebook Live presentations 3 times a week?
Well, I connected with Words Taylor, and we've been working on he has something called Dream Builders Nation, which is great. It's a great program. And so if you have dreams or things that you've been working on that just have been kind of stagnant, or you haven't been able to move forward in those, he pushes you to be able to do those and grow in that area. And so I also had the privilege of having his daughter in my daycare. So he then was able to see firsthand some of the things that I've done. So he pushed me even more. And so that's why I started going on Facebook Live, especially because of the quarantine. And I know that is difficult for parents right now to try to figure out what to do with their kids just on the spot, having to do that. So, and then not being able to leave, and how simple or easy it can be to just use the things that you have at home to help with learning.
It's so cool to see all the projects that you and your daughter do together. And so you call the Learning Garden a place where learning is as unique as your child. And I loved it when you said that, because you talk about how all of our children have different learning styles. You call yourself the children's curriculum expert. I love that. And yeah, I have learned from your posts to actually look at my own children, like what is their learning style and how can I help them with that?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so tell me more about that.
So the reason why I decided to, well, first of all, the reason why I call it the Learning Garden is because in a garden, there's so many different types of flowers and plants. And even they're all different. They look different. Some grow tall, some grow short, some grow really full and big, and some don't. Some need a lot of sunlight, some don't need a lot of sunlight. So with all those different variations, it's the same thing with our children, and they all don't learn the same. They all are not, we don't have cookie cutter children. And
Mhm.
so with that, they all need different types of learning.
Mhm.
And when we figure out how our children learn, it makes it a little bit easier, or a lot easier, for our kids to want to enjoy learning or learn a certain activity or thing that they're learning, once we figure out how they learn.
So true, very true. And I loved how in the latest post you shared some of your own testimony about what it was like growing up for you struggling in school.
Yes. So for me, school, I think I said it in one of the videos, school was easy for me up until third grade, because I am a kinesthetic learner, which means that I learn moving around, or a tactual learner. I learn by touching things. And I was not an auditory learner. So it didn't matter if the teacher was standing in front of me and saying things and talking, or I had to read things. Sorry, my mom was calling. um, and so with that, my parents had to figure out what worked better for me. So my mom did spend a lot of times making up games at home, or creating raps sometimes, or songs, to help me to memorize things. And that's why I'm pretty passionate about it, because I think sometimes as parents we forget, and we sometimes want our kids to learn the way that we learn, and then get frustrated ourselves when they're not getting it. when there's certain clues that we should pay attention to help our kids, you know, be the best they can.
Yeah. And that is so helpful right now as we are having to do more learning at home and homeschooling. And so that's good to know as parents. What has been the response that you've gotten about the Learning Garden?
The response has been really good. It has been really, really good. A lot of adults have been saying, we need this. I needed to hear this. This is helping me to look at my child differently and pay more attention to what my child needs. And of course, I'm sure a lot of parents too are saying that I see things differently in the aspect of when your kid is at school every day, there's a lot of things you don't see because they're at school all day with their teacher. Whereas now when they're at home, they're starting to see and recognize some of the things that the teacher may have been telling them. And so being able to practice those things and see those things and then see how they can use those to help their child do even better when we go back to school.
Right.
You know?
So true.
Or even if you're at home and you're homeschooled, it's the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be going back sooner than later.
Yes.
You've done so many creative crafts and cooking, and what has been your guys' favorite activity?
Oh, favorite. I really like the bird's nest one. However, I ended up burning myself. But that wasn't good. But that's why, you know, when we're cooking, a lot of parts that we do with the stove, that's why it's important for the parent to be there for that. But the bird's nest was a lot of fun. And the painting idea, those are great too.
Yeah.
It's just been really fun to interact with them. And then I have to work at this as well, allowing my niece and my daughter to be creative on their own, giving them the materials and then stepping back, even though you feel like, no, this should be over here. No, you should put it here. Right. And just let them create on their own. So yeah, the bird's nest has been my favorite so far.
That was fun. Janai, your daughter, is so funny. She's just becoming a little personality, and I love her little sidekick, Adeline.
Yeah,
really well together. So yeah, I would just encourage parents to check this out for their kids. Last question: what has your biggest challenge been in this coronavirus epidemic quarantine?
What has been my biggest challenge? Not becoming lazy. Yes, trying to keep up with a routine and not wanting to watch movies all day, because I do love movies. Yeah. But making sure that I keep some type of schedule so that when school starts and when we go back to our regularly scheduled program, then, you know, it won't be so difficult to transition.
For sure. So true. I think that's been hard for all kids. It's like summer break, you know, or they'd like for it to be.
Yes.
And so, yeah, well, I just appreciate resources like yours that will help us to keep them on a schedule, doing productive activities and work. So thank you so much for being on this interview with me. And I'm just so glad we get to share about your gift and your resource that you are providing for us during this time.
You're welcome.
So we'll look for you on the Learning Garden. Look for Kim on the Learning Garden. Is it under Kim Woods or the Learning Garden, or how do people find it on Facebook?
It was under Kimberly Woods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Great. So we can tune in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live at 12:30.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll see you later. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.